EFTA. Today, Xbox bought Bethesda. That's a big deal, ain't it? Let's go to EFTA one more time. And now we're talking the game of the game, the true meta game of the games industry. So Xbox buying Bethesda. Does that mean Fallout is only on Xbox now? Out to PC because Windows is the same thing. Maybe this leads to exclusives. Maybe it doesn't, but it certainly has a lot of reverberations throughout the industry. Some of which I'm not too happy about. Here's the weird thing though. I think a lot of gamers are going to be totally fine with this. I think this is kind of not where gamers want to be, but I think there's a lot of customers out there, and I use the word customer intentionally, that are going to be totally good. Games have been $60 for a long time. I think the first $60 game I bought was, or my parents bought, LOL, was for the N64. I think $49.99 was the price point for Super Nintendo games, the 32-bit era, right? It was $54.30, and then $59.99, $64 and change was where it bumped up to like N64, maybe. Definitely during the PlayStation era. PS2, every single game was $60. Every single AAA game was $60. In fact, most games were just $60. $60 for a game, $30 for a Game Boy game. That's how it went. PSP, I think, pushed that to $40 on some of the real hardcore JRPGs and was pushed back a little bit. But we're talking like 10, 20 years of games that have been at that $60 price point, and games have obviously gotten larger. You know, when we look at a game like, I don't know, pick a PlayStation 2 game, and you compare it to Fallout 4, which isn't even everybody's favorite. Like a big, obviously there's more work and effort. It's not just technology junk. It's amount of people that are in the studio. It's amount of person hours in the studio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like, we just don't, they just don't raise the price because people they're not about it. And to a certain extent, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here. Listen, everybody's broke. I get it, especially now. So telling people, you know, you got to pay $70 for games, people take offensively because, I mean, our money hasn't gone up. Minimum wage has been this way forever. The wealth gap, now I'm getting political, which I won't shy away from, but that's not today's game. So I understand why people are looking for a different outlet. Now you've always had MMOs operating as games as a service, which is the buzzword in the industry, right? The idea that instead of, you can't just buy World of Warcraft. You used to be able to, and then you still have to pay a month. But you can't just buy WoW. You can't just buy Final Fantasy. You have to pay monthly in order to play. Now, they might give you the first little bit for free, like a Coke dealer. They might give you, limited access, right? I think that's what Final Fantasy 14 does, where you can do like half the game, not even like level up halfway. You can level up all the way, but like you don't get all the cool stuff. And then of course you enter the world of pay to win, where like you're just bad until you actually pay the monthly fee, right? For most people, $15 a month, $20 a month, $25 a month, $30 a month is more handleable, is easier to do than plopping down 70 beans on your favorite Deus Ex remaster. Is it Deus Ex? That always sounds stupid to me. I always said Deus Ex. Great game, by the way. I think that is going to be one of the results of this, not this purchase, but these moves, the large-scale consolidation of game development studios under umbrellas. And I'm still not that thrilled. Nintendo's going to buy some devs. Sony's going to buy some devs. Sega. Imagine if Sega popped out with a console. How sick would it be if we got a surprise console? This is a hard argument to say because I think it makes games a little bit more affordable on a large scale situation, but I think it hurts the games industry in a bigger way in a more artistic way. And of course, like, you know, hey, welcome to the channel. In case you haven't met me, we talk about art and philosophy here a little bit more than your regular COD bro should, but whatever, dude. Games are fun. Games are interesting. Games are a unique medium, right? We look at, when I look at games, I think of BioShock, and I think of Final Fantasy VII, and I think of Call of Duty and these large scale AAA endeavors. But I also think of games like the Stanley Parable. I also think of games like The Witness. I also think of games like Hades. I also think of games like Among Us, you know? And those types of games are kind of in the middle. You have these individually run games like, what's that guy? Concerned Ape. He's the one behind Stardew Valley. And he'll be fine. It's just him in his room. I'm assuming he's a grown person and different story, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's just him on his computer and making this dope game. And games like COD and stuff will be fine. But I think it's that in between that's going to be lost artistically, right? When you're a mega monolith game studio, you have the resources to sink $1 bazillion into one title, and so that's what you do because theoretically bigger is better, eh? So you create these giant world RPGs with all this stuff. Shouts to Ubisoft, and maybe they're good, maybe they're bad. Shouts to Ubisoft, and you create these games. There's so much of an investment that they just can't fail. They just can't fail. And you see the same thing in the movie industry. And I'm going to draw the parallel in a second. The desire to create what is going to work is so much more prevalent than the desire of creating something for the sake of creating things, something fun, something interesting, something never done before. Because something cool, interesting, never done before is a gamble. You don't know if somebody's going to buy Pikmin. You don't. You don't know if somebody's going to say, hey, you know, Enter the Gungeon, right? I don't know if anybody's going to buy that. That's a weird, it's a dance game and a bullet hell? Am I getting the game mixed up? Anyway, like creative endeavors like that are a gamble. It's a dice roll. Maybe people like it, maybe don't. The 10 people, the 20 people, the 30 people that worked on the game, sure, they love it. But what if you spend all this time and money into something and everybody internally who's spent hours on it, you know, love it. They're all making money to go home and feed their kids. And then you sell it and it makes no bucks. Why do you think we have 37 Marvel movies? Now Marvel's a bad example, maybe because all the Marvel movies are good, quote unquote. But like, why do we just see remake after remake after remake after remake after sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel? It's because if you're making all these movies and you're putting $40 million into them, it better at least make $40 million. If it doesn't, it's a failure on a lot of different people, and well, a lot of different people are kind of mad about it. Games are kind of entering that atmosphere where, like, we're going to get Halo 37. They're going to continue to pump out Grand Theft Autos twice a decade, maybe once a decade, which I still love the GTAs, but whatever. Nothing wrong with a sequel, nothing wrong with already established IP, but we do see less and less as time goes on. Whereas if you turn back the clock in gaming just a little bit, I mean, look at everything from Earthworm Jim to Phoenix Wright. Sonic was around, right? But I mean, so is Gex, so is Ratchet and Clank. There was so much different IP, all these games out. And now you see a shave down. And I think the large-scale consolidation of game development studios is going to kind of be, I don't want to say nail in the coffin, because I do think there will, but like the final wave of that sort of thing. It's expensive to take a chance. It will literally be a gamble. Whereas if you make Call of Duty once a year, it is guaranteed to sell. That's it. Assassin's Creed was kind of the pushback on that, I guess. But Ubisoft got a little bit too formulaic. But guess what? I played the last one and it was dope. People are still going to buy it. As you put out these, you know, it is not a gamble to sell a COD game. It's just not. And I'm sure there's some guy with a spreadsheet that goes, you know, we've sold more or less this year over air, so we can do this, and you can spend $47.8 million on this game, or you know, like, and then you do it, and then the company makes it back, and everybody's happy. So rolling the dice on new IP is already a waning thought. But this move, like Xbox is doing here, is going to kind of further that agenda or that mindset. I don't like the word agenda. And like I said, taking a chance on the weird stuff. Parappa the Rappa, rip. Rez, rip. You know, the truly creative games, rip. That's the type of stuff that I like, and I would like to see nurtured, but I just don't think that the mainstream. So the positive, the optimistic side of this is that all of these large development companies just pump out, you know, rubber stamp, carbon copy AAA games, and then they earmark a little corner that's for creative sandboxes, and they pump out Cooking Mama every 2 years, right? And you're like, yay, we got our one weird game, hooray! You know. I guess that's the optimistic look. Not where I'm thinking. Not only are we going to see a little bit less of that, but we're also going to see a little bit less of the mid-size game studio, I think, right? Right now, I talked about the Stardew Valley guy. It's just him, right? Little pixel graphic dudes, little women that make their own, you know, one-person games. Guys that are just like, you know, coding all night. They'll exist. Only one person. Well, what the hell, dude? Right? Personal passion. Passion project is the word I'm looking for. And then the giant AAA, you know, 100 people studios will exist as well. But what about what about companies that employ like 10 folks? 15 people game companies, 7 people game developer studios. They're going to have a harder time getting on these platforms altogether. I'll get to why in a second. Hopefully they still exist, and I think this is the weakest argument I have. I do want to put it out there, but I think that this will be disproven, and I hope so. I earnestly hope so. I think that that middle-sized studio will. I think it's possible that middle-sized studio just disappears because of the lack of being on Game Pass or the iteration, which I'll get to in a second. Yeah, I had to cough about that one. I do think, you know, those games will kind of disappear, and that kind of sucks. And then the third point that I want to get to, which will bring me back to my second point, is lower price points for gamers, which is how I opened this video up. Games like not Super Chunk. Shout out to all my indie rock fans out there. Not Super Chunk. Super Chunk. Or I guess my Nickelodeon friends. Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk. Games like Cyberpunk should be $70, if not more. We even see that games are like $60 or $100 if you get like an art book or something, right? Cyberpunk should probably be $70, $75, right? I'm not a numbers guy. I'm gonna say at least $70. Well, I mean, and again, I'm not sitting here like, yeah, I want to spend all this money. I don't work for no game studio. Used to. It was a free-to-play game, LOL. It's just a fact of the matter. Is that's how much games cost to make. That's how much games are like. It just is what it is, bro. People don't want to pay that. People can't pay that. So what's the solution? Games want to keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. You're not going to see games pull back and make less featureful games, right? Maybe you will. That's a bad thing. But it's, you know, by default, the games industry is becoming unconsumer friendly, especially as we move to digital. You can't sell that game you downloaded, dude. GameStop would give you $4.37, a pocket Pikachu, and a slap on the back for your entire disc collection, but at least it was something. And realistically, you could always flip like on the second market. I bought a PS4. Shouts to J Mac Tucker. Homie bought my PS4, right? You can buy Uncharted for $50 and sell it for 45, right? That exists. That happens. People do that often. Hell, I don't know if it's changed, but you used to be able to buy a used game from GameStop and return it within 7 days for your full price. So you beat a game in 6 days, it's free, baby. But with digital, it's gotten even worse. But now digital can make it better with Game Pass. Now, shout outs to the old folk in here. All my old heads can remember when Netflix and GameFly was the wave. Before digital stuff, before streaming, you would send away, you would sign up, you would pay 1 month, $14.99, $15 a month, and they would send you 2 DVDs, right? You would get let's use games, let's say with games, they'd send you 2 games, right? You'd get your BioShock and you would get your Fallout. And you could keep those forever, as long as you kept paying $15 a month. And then you were done with BioShock, so you would mail them back BioShock and you would keep your Fallout, and then they would mail you whatever other game you wanted, your Call of Duty, sure. And so that way, for $15 a month, you could have 2 games at a time, and you would just swap them in and out. You upgrade to $20, they give you 3 games, right? Game Pass right now, you pay a flat fee and you can get all the games. I can see them kind of peeling that back and being like, all right, y'all pay us $20 a month, and we'll give you 3 AAA games that you can download to your console, and then you just select the 3 games that you want, and those are the 3 games that you have on your digital edition PlayStation 6, your digital edition Xbox. I mean, they're gonna name it the Xbox One XS series Xbox, but I envision a world like that. And to that, I think I just coughed in the mic, my bad. And to that, that's a good thing. Like I said, that's a solid thing for a lot of people. I think that makes games more affordable, more accessible, and I'm absolutely not here to fight against accessibility. But this is where that middle-sized studio starts to come into play, right? As Xbox buys Bethesda, well, boom, that's there on the Xbox Game Pass, easy peasy. They're probably not on the PlayStation Game Pass. Now, you can probably get the games. You can probably go out and buy the disc, or you can buy the download on PC and PlayStation. But if you pay your Xbox subscription, you get it for free as people. But you know what I'm saying, right? And PlayStation will do the same, and Nintendo will completely ignore the online community as per usual. But that'll be the norm. Everybody will own their studios, and you'll get their studio stuff for free, and everybody else will kind of be boned. And the middle of the pack studios are either going to have to, buy into to Daddy Warbucks and say, okay, hey, it's me, Supergiant, Bastion, and I'm not on the Xbox Game Pass, so people won't buy my game for the $25, $30. So it just is what it is. You're going to get less money, not only because people are a little bit wary of buying those games, which they aren't right now, but maybe they will, but because you're going to have people that just, oh well, man, once upon a time before there were exclusives, you played your game, and then when exclusives came out, you had your Xbox or your PlayStation, and you went, oh, they had all those games on Uncharted. Oh well, man, I just missed it. Oh well. I think we'll see the same thing with respect to the Game Passes, where, oh well, man, I guess I just don't get to play that Bastion, that Transistor game. Whatever, dude, it's fine. Load up Nuketown. And that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. Like I said before, maybe that point goes away. I expect those mid-grade studios not to be on these Game Passes and stuff because of the way they're being bought. But I think it's possible that they disappear, but I don't think it's likely. I did want to voice that out there just in case. Because I think that while this looks very, it'll be sick to be able to spend your $30 and get your 4 games and multiplayer stuff. Cool. And I got a lot of poor homies, man. This is the first time in my life I'm not dead poor. I'm not rich, but this is the first time in my life where I'm not literally in debt every 16th of the month, okay? And so I understand, bro. I don't. I think games are worth $70+, but that doesn't mean I want to pay them in this with the state of the world. But it just is what it is. So I'm glad that more people will get access to more games, but I think that the truly creative world of game development is not going to disappear. Threatened is probably the right word. I think it'll shrink, and I think it'll be, less interesting. Games as a service is obviously the future, which is not a bad thing. League of Legends and honestly, Hi-Res Studios, Smite, Paladins pushed it forward, which is in a good way. Free-to-play games with cosmetic purchases to fund them. Cool. This next wave of Game Pass exclusivity is one that scares me a little bit. And I just wish we could preserve the art side of games in a way that I don't think we will. Oh well. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. I don't know. YouTube stuff. I'm still getting used to it. Comments have been real positive. I don't want them to turn negative, but it's okay to tell me, whether you, I don't know. Tell me things you want to see. Tell me things you don't want to see. I am still learning this stuff. I'm having a lot of fun, and I think it's dope. We started Dark Souls on the stream yesterday. I'm going to try and find a way to edit that out as well and put it up to YouTube in some sort of cool way to consume. But you could also watch it live, twitch.tv/FSwag. I'll be doing it today and likely most days that I'm not doing Rocket League or esports or whatnot. But that does it here. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Peace. Boom, 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 F-Dot.